Eventually, you must let go of meditation for the sake of spiritual advancement. So that's a big pill to swallow, and it certainly was for me, right? So the entire idea of letting go of meditation is something very profound, yet very difficult to do for most people who are on the path of spirituality. So the thing is, and the reason why I say this, right, is because if you take a look at the reason as to why meditation was created thousands and thousands of years ago by all of these mystics and shamans, then it's very, very simple. Meditation was just a tool to help an untrained person to understand the reality of the universe, to help them understand reality. That's it. So let's just take an example of a random person who has never engaged in any kind of spirituality whatsoever. They believe that, their internal joy comes from, all of these external things. They believe that their being is out there somewhere, right? What meditation will do is help that person, right, catch a glimpse of the true nature of reality. And once you catch that glimpse, what will eventually happen is eventually your entire worldview of what reality is starts to fall apart. And once that falls apart, you know, what then happens is that you begin to understand reality more. You begin to meditate more, you begin to meditate more, you get more glimpses, and then you fully understand reality. And once you understand the true nature of reality, then that's it. That was the purpose of meditation. Obviously, there's tons of other benefits of meditation. And if you wish to do them for those benefits, psychological benefits, biological benefits, whatever it is, then please go ahead. Even I do them sometimes, right? However, the thing is, that was not what it was designed for. It was designed to understand the true nature of reality. And once someone understands the true nature of reality, then all it boils down to is how and when, and not when they have to, they will most likely. It's about them integrating that understanding into their being, into their self, into their ego. So, in all of these spiritual circles, they say, let go of the ego. The ego creates all of this suffering. Let go of your identity or find your inner self. And I agree with all of them. I believe all of them are, telling the truth. However, I think what they all fail to mention is that letting go of your ego, that's just the first step. That's it. That's just the first step. There are more steps beyond that, right? There are more steps beyond letting go of your ego, beyond letting go of your uh, identity, right? In the past, when someone said to let go of your ego, to let go of your identity, the main reason behind that was so that they can understand the reality of the universe, so they can understand reality. Because only once you let go of your mind and body, once you let go of your identity, once you let go of all of your internal mechanisms, internal schematics, beliefs, trauma, emotions, whatever it is, only then are you open enough to see reality for what it is. It's like the quote from Vagabond: preoccupied with a single leaf, you'll miss the tree. Preoccupied with a single tree, you will miss the entire forest. Do not be preoccupied in one spot. See everything in its entirety effortlessly. And that's just how reality works. To see reality, you must let go of everything else. That's why they say to let go of the ego, to let go of this. And if you're watching this video, if you have, in a sense, been in spirituality for a long time, then chances are you have experienced reality either by praying, meditating, your breathwork practice, whatever it is. You have seen it, you have understood it, you have experientially understood it, you have that experience. That's all you have to do. I'll be 100% goddamn serious. Then because that's all you have to do to understand reality, right? Like getting rid of the ego, getting rid of the identity, those were the steps required to understand reality. Then once you understand reality, then guess what you have to do? You no longer have to let go of your identity anymore, right? You no longer need to let go of your ego, right? And you might be thinking, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, hold on. You're saying that I did all of this effort to let go of my ego, or like not even effort, but like, you get what I'm saying. I did all of this to let go of my ego, my identity, and now I understand the true nature of reality. However, now you are saying that it's okay to have an ego, to okay to have an identity. So you're basically saying to live in this illusion, to not see reality. And you're partly correct. You're partly correct. And the reason why you're partly correct, because I'm not saying for you to live in an illusion, right? I'm not saying for you to disregard reality. No, no, no. What I'm saying is that you should be a human being. That's it. Because at the end of the day, we are human beings. We have a mind and we have a body, right? Our mind and body, it works in a linear fashion. It thinks in terms of linear logic. But as you can verify, reality does not work in a linear manner. It's at best non-linear, right? But the mind and body is linear. You are basically designed to live in an illusion, right? That's it. You are just living an illusion. The only way you can escape this illusion is to escape the entire body, entire mind, to escape humanism. In a sense, I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm going to use it. So basically, if you wish to live in reality, you must stop being human. But the thing is, you were born as a human, so live as a human being, right? And you might be thinking, well, yeah, I understand that, but the thing is, if I want to live as a human, I must live in reality. Wrong. That is completely 100% wrong. To truly live as a human being with no suffering whatsoever, right? Because most of us got into this part of spirituality because we had some kind of suffering and we wish to dissipate it, we wish to alleviate it, to get rid of it somehow, and we stumble upon spirituality, and then from spirituality we understood the true nature of reality, and it skyrocketed from there. What we must understand is that this illusion that we are living in is completely and utterly fine. The ego and the identity that we cling to is completely valid and completely fine. And we must also at the same time understand that reality, true reality, non dualism, is also completely 100% fine. Just like how dualism is also fine. That's why, the yin and yang, it within the white there's some black, and within the black there's some white. It's the integration of these two that makes, in a sense, the quote unquote perfect life, right? That's just simply it. So what I'm saying is, once you understand the true nature of reality, you must learn to integrate that into this illusion. You must integrate non-dualism into dualism. You must basically, in a sense, fuse them until they become one. That's it. You must not, after let go of your ego and identity and understand reality, then you must not continue to do that again. You must not keep on doing that. You must then learn to, in a sense, filter down that integration into your ego and identity, so your ego and identity works with reality, right? It understands reality, it understands this, and it works in a way that conforms to it, at least to the best of its ability. That's simply it. That's why they say, like, before enlightenment, mountains are mountains and rivers are rivers. You chop wood, you touch grass, you go for a walk. But then after awakening, mountains are no longer mountains and rivers are no longer rivers. You no longer touch wood, you no longer touch grass, and you no longer go for a walk. But then, after enlightenment, mountains are again mountains, rivers are again rivers. You touch wood, you touch grass, you chop wood, you go on walks, you talk with your friends. So then you might be thinking, well, nothing fundamental changes before and then after enlightenment. And you might have a confusion as to why nothing changes. And the simple reason behind why nothing changes is because nothing really did change. Nothing needs for you to change for you to understand the true nature of reality. The only thing, in a sense, that changed is that you understood reality. And once you understand reality, guess what happens? Nothing. That's it. Just because you understand reality does not mean that you become a god, right? There's nothing in it for you. It's just that you understand the truth. And once you understand the truth, the only thing that changes is that nothing changes. And you might be thinking, okay, if the only thing that changes is that nothing changes, well, then that makes no sense whatsoever. And you're right. You're right, that makes no sense to the mind or the body because that doesn't function under linear logic, right? It's a completely experiential thing that you will only understand once you begin to integrate dualism and non-dualism. This is why I say that getting rid of the ego is the first step. Getting rid of the ego is the first step. The second step is understanding reality. The third step is integrating that reality into the ego. And the fifth step is the completion of that integration and moving on to your day-to-day life. This is what you call, in a sense, enlightenment. Enlightenment is just the integration between the awakening and between the non-dualism and the dualism, right? And then once you integrate them, you know what happens? Nothing. You will still suffer, you will still have quote unquote pain, you will still have all of that. It's just that, you will still go to the toilet, you will still pee, you will still eat. Nothing fundamentally changes. However, even though you're living in that illusion, what happens is you will know it's an illusion at all times. And you will enjoy it 100%. You will feel an inner peace. And when I mean it's an inner peace, I don't mean an inner peace in the sense that you non-dualistically feel an inner peace. No, you will begin to dualistically feel an inner peace, right? And when you dualistically suffer, when you cry, when you shout, when you do all of that, there will be that non-dualistic peace that will take care of that dualistic pain. Basically, in a sense, nothing changes, right? I'm doing my best to explain this experience, right? Maybe you understand it, maybe you don't, and it's fine, right? I understand I didn't explain it properly. I didn't really script this video, you know. However, what I do agree on is that for the sake of spiritual advancement, you must let go of meditation because meditation will keep you trapped in the stage of understanding, right? You will try to understand, but you must move from understanding to integration, right? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you are this giant cosmic being, if you are God, it doesn't matter if you are the richest person on the planet, it doesn't matter what your true nature is, if your true nature cannot integrate to the illusion, because the illusion is just as important as reality. You must learn to operate in both of these fields. And the weird and very, very, in a sense, complicated thing is not complicated. It's very simple once you understand it. Well, everything's simple when you understand it. But basically, the very complicated thing is if you want to live dualistically very properly, very effortlessly, you must understand non-dualism. And if you want to live in non-dualism properly, very effortlessly, you must understand dualism. They must both integrate so that they both can function perfectly by themselves without anything else. And then what happens is, like a system, they lock into each other and they boom, 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 boom. They work. And then after that, you don't really have to worry about resolving your own problems. The problems will just resolve itself. It'll feel as life is just effortless, right? You'll feel this internal bliss, but you'll feel the internal bliss in a very dualistic and non-dualistic way. You'll feel both. You won't become this, God, but you'll become, for the first time in your entire life, a very, very, very happy human being, right? So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Move on from understanding and move into integration, right? However, if you haven't understood reality properly, then, you know, get to that, start to understand it. But once you understand it, then move to integration, because integration is the next step. And obviously, there's tons of other benefits of meditation, right? If you want to do it because it helps you calm down, it helps with your panic attacks, it helps with, all of these things, do that. I'm not saying not to do that, right? But for simply for the sake of spiritual advancement, no. Move on to integration. And the way you integrate is simply by learning that you don't have to do anything. That's it. Because the desire to remove suffering is what causes suffering, right? Not a lot of people know this, right? And you might think that makes no sense. But once you fully understand that, once you fully understand what I'm talking about, when I say the desire to remove suffering is what causes suffering, only then are you on the path to integration. If you don't understand it now, then you're not there yet, right? So begin to integrate it. So, yeah, that's all I want to say. And thank you. Have a great day.